Hey guys, I'm D-Rock UK, Twitch TV streamer, ex-Mixer partner on Mixer, and I'm about to celebrate my first year as a streamer and content creator ever on September 17th. And over this year, I've learned a lot about content creation, and I feel like maybe it's about time I start content creation here on YouTube as well. So if you're interested in a few tips, stay tuned. We're about to get into them. Okay, so I'm gonna cover over who I am first of all. I started streaming September 17th, 2019 on Mixer.com as a very small content creator. Over that period of time, in the 7 or 8 months that I was streaming on there, I managed to attain over 2,000 followers. I got Mixer partnership, and I even had enough income to consider going full time as a streamer. Thankfully, I didn't after Microsoft closed down the Mixer side of things back in July. As moving over to Twitch, the income isn't there anymore, so I'm glad that I stayed put where I was. But these are some of the tips that I'm going to run through with you guys and let you know just how my success has taught me a lot of things when it comes to this industry. Tip number one, first of all, establish why you want to be a content creator. If you're doing it just for fun, if you're doing it for your friends and family to watch you, or whether or not your end goal is to do this full time. If your end goal is to do this full time, then your goal is to become a business, period. You don't need to be a cold-shouldered business in order for you to make money. You can invest in your community. You can market with your community in mind. Business doesn't necessarily mean that you're a sellout or you've gone cold, but if you want to be full-time, you're going to need to work with the mindset of making this an effective and efficient and cost-effective business. If you're doing it just for friends and family, fantastic. A couple of these tips in here might help you out as well. But overall, these are more aimed towards the people like myself that either had the opportunity to go full-time or are working to go full-time, as an end result. So one thing I'm going to say to everybody, now this applies to everyone, is do your research. And what I mean by doing your research, I don't mean just by networking. I hear this all the time. I do look at other people's videos and they always say network. Networking is part of a career. No one should need to tell you to network, because whether or not you work full-time for a company, you're probably networking on LinkedIn, you're dealing with clients face on, you're constantly networking. Every single infrastructure that is a business requires networking. So if you don't understand that concept from a streaming perspective, you really need to look at standard business practices. Networking is key. What I would advise is a pause from networking is something that some content creators might admit willingly and some might not, is that content creators tend to mirror. And what I mean by mirroring is they look at they look at what inspires them. They look at inspirations in content creators and they start to mirror actions and events that they do on stream and maybe add a little bit of a twist that makes it unique to them. But you'll find that a lot of people follow who they like because that's who they aspire to be, or to aspire to be something of that, to be a strain of that. So what I always say is watch other streamers. Don't just watch any streamers. Watch streamers that you like, streamers that captivate you as part of the audience, as well as the people that are in their channel as well. You're probably talking to a variety of people in their channel, off stream and on stream. Find out what makes you guys enjoy that streamer. Whether or not it's the content, whether they communicate with the chat, they keep you involved, or whether or not they're really good at a game and they just get a lot of wins and you're really involved in watching that hype kind of get to the point. Battle Royale, they're really good. They win most of the time. It's worth watching because they get 12 kills every game and that keeps us very engaged. Work out what it is that engages you and your fellow community with that streamer. That's your first tip. What you need to do next is have a look and see how they handle static air. Now, static air is when there's silence. You don't want to be watching a stream 9 times out of 10 where there's silence, and unless there's a cutscene or there's something that you as a streamer, you can sit back and say the game's going to do this part, the cutscene's on, I can take a moment's break, fine. But if you're just sitting there playing the game, I can guarantee you some people might be happy to sit and watch, but a lot of people will not be interested and they will leave. You got to see how they handle static air. How often are they quiet? When you're watching there with, 50, 100, 30 people in that room, you really like that streamer. How often is the content quiet? Do they talk all the time? Do they bring up things they've seen on Twitter, social media, something that's happened during the day? What are they doing to keep their audience engaged? Prime example, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of these social media platforms have AI that is created from an abundance of algorithms that's core functionality is to keep you engaged on their platform for as long as possible. Most of us know this, but how many times have you found yourself scrolling through YouTube to find a recommended video? You might have found this video recommended through YouTube because of other things you've been watching from other streamers that are similar. Another thing as well, you could have found it on Twitter, you could have found it anywhere. That tweet didn't just land there because someone retweeted it that you know, or someone shared it. An algorithm chose to give you that tweet, it chose to show you this video. Regardless of how you found it, it was an algorithm. It wasn't the person that posted it. The whole gain as a company is to keep you engaged as long as possible. That's your job as a streamer. As a human being, you need to ensure your audience are as engaged as possible and as attentive whilst they're in that stream, because without them being there, your viewership's going to slump, no one's going to be talking, and you're going to be sitting there with no possible way of producing any sort of conversation that's going to prevent static air. So watch a streamer and see what they do to mitigate that problem. See how they handle awkward conversations. You're going to have viewers that come in that might be aggressive towards a streamer or someone else in the chat. They might be incredibly negative, even perhaps depressive. Maybe there has just been a hype train. They've maxed out to the top level. They've got an abundance of subs, bits dropped. It's absolutely amazing. Everyone's having a party. They've just won Battle Royale. Someone comes into chat and they say that they are not happy and a family member of theirs just died. Don't falsify the facts that you need to be 24/7 entertaining. You're a human being, and so are the people watching you. Be human as well. Don't treat it as a character where you're entertaining 24/7 and you have to put all the bad stuff to the side until after stream. If there's something that you can discuss right then and there, do it. In my opinion, do it. Tip number 3. Consider your brand wisely. This is the worst mistake I see people do. I have watched people change their logos up to 3 or 4 times in the last 12 months. Now, if they were streaming and they were selling a lot of merchandise, they had their Facebook accounts all set up to these brands, their Twitter accounts, their social media is set to the brand logo and the brand name, and they're chopping and changing it constantly, you're going to find that that's not going to work. You're going to be diluting your audience on a regular basis, and people are not really going to know who you are on Monday to who you are on Friday. So you've got to make sure that what you choose, you got to do your best to try and lock in and accept that that's the way it's going to be. A prime example is I chose Rock Nation and the brand colors being black, orange and white, and I decided the logo was just going to be, the brand logo would just be a simple RN signature, which is exactly what we've got here. Now, I have sold, with our independent merchandise provider, as well as when we were with Streamlabs first starting off, way over 100 products. And if I was to change the logo now, that immediately invalidates everybody else's merchandise. And although I could do that because it's my brand, it's not right for me to say, thanks for buying all this stuff, I'm going to completely change it. Now go buy this stuff. Because then they're going to say, well, what if it changes again? It's like Nike changing from a tick or from a swoosh to something else. Their brand might mean that the trainers and the t-shirts and the jackets that they originally had with the swoosh on it might be more value because it's OG. Not going to probably work like that with your brand. So please take into consideration, if you're intending on doing this full time as a business, that when you think of your brand, think solid. Tip number 4, don't majorly invest into equipment unless you're able to. Most people say don't invest, period. I would say if you're able to, if you've got the money, 100% do it. But the problem is a lot of people don't have the money to be able to invest in thousands of dollars of equipment, and what you find a lot of people do is it goes back to reflecting on point 2 of mirroring. People mirror their their streamers so much that they will physically go and purchase all the same equipment that they have been able to afford over time as they have progressed, and the success has furthered them to be able to afford this equipment. When they first started, the probability is they never had that equipment either. So you shouldn't need it either. I mean, a Go XLR, a Stream Deck, a nice webcam or a DSLR cam, studio lighting, that's great. It's great, but it's not needed. It really is not needed. I started with a 720p webcam that was about 12 years old with a headset that had an inbuilt mic that would cause audio to peak constantly. That's all I had. I had no Stream Decks, no Go XLRs, no XLR mics, studio headphones, key lights, the C920 webcam. I didn't have anything like that. That came over time. If you've got the money, by all means, if that's what you want to spend your money on, do that. But a lot of people mirror their inspirations, hoping that the equipment they have is going to give them the same feedback or the same effect to them as a streamer as what it does to the bigger streamer. It doesn't work like that. Human beings are very, very fickle. They pick something up and they put it back down a month down the line. They want to read that book, they never finish it. They want to solve that Rubik's Cube, they never do it. They want to go out and get that job, they do it for a week, they get bored, they quit. Most people that come into success are people that didn't put it down. They're people that grinded on and kept going at it. And that is something that you need to establish whether or not you want to do, because you don't want to spend $5,000 on a bunch of equipment and then a month or two later say, nah, this isn't working, I'm going to stop. Because now you've got all this equipment that you're either going to have to sell or keep, and it's not going to use. So do not let yourself get knocked down from one or two failures. You've just got to keep going, and it'll eventually come if you are working at it. Rule number 5, establish a work-life balance, or something that I like to call a life-work balance, because life should always come first. And this is something, these are one of the mistakes that I have learned from over this past 12 months. So if you're just starting, please take heed of this advice. If your main goal is to go full-time, you're obviously going to have to dedicate some time to streaming and dedicate a little bit of seeing whether or not you're going to be able to make it. Streaming isn't the only thing that you need to focus on. I decided to focus just on streaming, and in that time I stopped going outdoors as much. I stopped communicating with family, I stopped communicating with loved ones, and I lost out on a 6-year relationship, and I honestly blame myself for that. And you know, it's because I dedicated days off of streaming to doing gaming. I thought, well, I've streamed this game and I didn't really want to play that game, but I streamed it, so I'm going to go game the game I really wanted to play. And I never gave time. And as much as everybody might say they don't have a problem with you streaming, believe me, they do. They'll just they'll kind of lie to you to not hurt your feelings. You really, really, really need to get a life work balance. Don't do me that 12 months down the line everything's starting to pop off, you're pretty happy, you've got a little bit of revenue coming in, and you absolutely forget your existence everywhere else. So make sure you keep that life balance. When you are not streaming and allocate yourself a structure. Say, between this time I am going to be on Twitter, Facebook, and talking with people, or maybe just having a little browse, communicating with people or watching someone stream. Between these hours, I'm going to be streaming, maybe working on YouTube during these hours. All the other times that you're not on schedule for doing something that you're working to do with streaming, spend it wisely off of your PC. So these are just a few of the things, 6 tips that I have learned from, and that I've seen happening out there in the industry, just via Twitter and Instagram and everything, you know, that everybody's striving to have the same outcome. We're all going to obviously get it at a different time. We're going through a different path, we play different games, we're different human beings. The whole point is there isn't really a methodology to win this faster, but it can happen with everybody. But you have to dedicate a portion of time, but do not allow it to overrule your life. You know, I am in a place now that I have realized that, and I've picked up from where I left off, and I'm back on, you know, the horse now. But don't allow yourself to fall off it in the first place. Make sure you allocate enough time to your life and enough time to work as well as streaming. And overall, As always, I'm on Twitch. We stream Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, and we do a lot of just chatting sessions. And a lot of people actually come in and they involve themselves with us. So make sure that if you're interested, check us out at twitch.tv/drockuk. The link is in the description down below. I look forward to talking to you guys. As always interacting with everyone on chat, especially during the just chatting session. So more than welcome to come and join us, even if it's your first time. However, guys, if you've got any questions, please leave them in the comments. There's no problem with me making a second video if I've missed anything, or if there was something you want a little bit more clarity on. If you haven't already, make sure that you hit the subscription button, as well as hit that wonderful, wonderful bell, because you know how it is. Notification squad, we got to get that rolling as well. So until next time, I will let you guys go. And yeah, I appreciate it. Take it easy. Peace. Too bad of a video. Well, it's great.